So it's pretty wild to just be in Palo Alto with a bunch of cubes, and then a humanoid robot just walks past. We've made a massive amount of progress with Optimus in a short period of time, from someone pretending to be a robot dancing in a suit, to a pretty hodgepodgey robot, to a robot that is actually doing useful tasks in the factory today. So we have 2 Optimus robots in our Fremont factory that are doing basically this task, which is taking cells off the end of the line and placing them in a shipping container. And yeah, we actually have quite a few of these cruising around our offices in Palo Alto. So there's, and I think we've got kind of like one major hardware revision, which should be done by end of this year or early next, and then we'll move into a limited production next year of Optimus. Limited production for use in our factories, where we'll test out the product, kind of, as I say, sort of eat our own dog food or whatever the electronic equivalent of that is. But I think like next year, my prediction is next year we'll have over 1,000, maybe a few thousand Optimus robots working at Tesla. And things are going to scale up very rapidly from there. So we'll iron out the bugs. Like the degree of autonomy will be radically better. You'll just literally be able to talk to it and say, please do this task, or I'm going to show you something. Now do the thing that I'm showing you. Get to the point where it can watch a video of something like a person and then learn just by looking at that video and do that task. So, yeah. So really it's going to be quite something. And I'm confident of the prediction that there will be more, like the ratio of humanoid robots to humans will be greater than 1-to-1. So that there'll be, more than 10 billion humanoid robots in the world, probably 20 or more. And Tesla is going to be by far the leader in that. You're seeing a lot of robot startups, but I think it's actually very challenging to do Optimus as a robot startup, because what we found, to make Optimus work, we've had to design from first principles, from scratch, every part of the robot. So the motor, the gearbox, the sensors, the power electronics, the communication system, everything had to be done from scratch. We found that there's basically nothing. There's no supply chain. So even though there are many electric motors made in the world, there's no supply chain for the types of motors and sensors and gearboxes that are needed for a humanoid robot. What you're seeing here is our current generation hand and arm, but our next which has 11 degrees of freedom. Our next generation has 22 degrees of freedom. It will be able to play the piano. So it's really like, wow. Now, of course, like I said, we need to make sure we don't have the Terminator scenario. That's very important. Safety of the humanoid robot will be very important. But because it requires so much ground-up designing every motor, gearbox, sensor, power electronics from scratch, it's very hard for a startup to, if not impossible, for a startup to replicate that. But at Tesla, we have the world's best electrical engineering. I think we've got the world's best mechanical engineering for gearboxes and for electric motors, power electronics. We have the resources to do that. It applies quite well. And then you also have to have the brain. You need a power-efficient inference computer, which we've got for the car, and we'll be using an Optimus. You need AI. You need to be the best in real-world AI, and Tesla's the best in real-world AI. So you need all of these. You need a very strong hand of cards in order to make a compelling robot. And then you also need to be very good at scale manufacturing. So in order to have the robot not cost like hundreds of thousands of dollars, in order to make it cost like $10,000 or $20,000, you actually need to design for manufacturing and be very good at manufacturing. And in my experience, prototypes are easy compared to volume manufacturing. Prototypes are easy, production is hard, relatively speaking. So Tesla has the production capability, it has the engineering capability, and it has the AI hardware and software capability. And even the most optimistic estimates that I've seen for Optimus, the optimist, I think undercount the magnitude of what this robot will be able to do. As I said at the beginning of the presentation, I agree with the ARK Invest analysis that autonomous transport is called sort of a $5 to $7 trillion market cap situation. Optimus, I think, is a literally $25 trillion market cap situation. So. Now, I don't want to trivialize what's necessary to get there. I mean, it's an immense amount of work that is required to get there, like super difficult. But we are moving very fast down that road, and we're going to make it happen. So, thank you.
Hey, Elon. I was wondering if, as you've called a Tesla basically a robot with wheels, yeah. And so I'm wondering, kind of as that logic transfers over to Optimus, what kind of will Tesla use any large language models on top of the current Tesla robotics capabilities? And also, if so, will Optimus have any kind of personality? And would that be something that the end user might be able to have control over?
Yes to all of those questions. Yes to all. So, like, we're headed for a wild future. I mean, wild, wild, wild. Cars will drive themselves. People will have super helpful humanoid help robots. And yeah, you'll be able to customize the personality, customize the voice. And really kind of the robot will kind of get to know you as well and know your preferences. You won't even have to say things because it'll just kind of understand you. I think it will get to this point where it's like, it'll be odd not to have a robot buddy. Like, sort of not to have your C-3PO and, R2-D2. So, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how much integration work do you think will be needed to deploy Optimus into different types of factories, industries, like would you need technicians or just have them go watch? And how do you foresee that?
Well, I think if you fast forward a few years, it really will be quite a generalized robot. Like, say 2 years from now, like next year this year it's still quite specific. Task-specific training. So to do a particular task, we have to kind of do a fair bit of training to solve that task. But over time, I think you sort of accumulate these kind of training primitives where, like, calling like walking, for example, is a training primitive. Picking something, identifying an object and grabbing it would be a primitive. And these primitives are then generalized to anything. So you could say pick up a cup, pick up a shirt, fold the shirt. These things will generalize, I think, quite quickly. So I expect, probably not next year, but like in 2026, it's really the kind of thing where you could tell it to do kind of a wide range of tasks, including tasks where it has not specifically done that exact thing before, probably in, I'm guessing, 2026.
And do you foresee a cheaper version where tasks don't require like walking, for example, or so the hardware will become a lot simpler or cheaper?
Well, we're going to focus on making just a fantastic humanoid robot at scale, and really achieving scale economies in building that humanoid robot. At very high volume, if you're really good at manufacturing, you can get the cost of almost anything down to its constituent elements. Essentially, the weight, and if you just look at the weight of the raw materials times the value of those raw materials, excluding circuit boards, you really can say, like, if it weighs less, it's going to cost less. What I'm saying is that it's better for us to achieve very high volume with Optimus than to have a wide range of robots that have lower volume. Yeah.